What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the No Cap Space. Tyler, Andrew, Greer here today, and we got a special guest here in the Luxury Tax. What's better than one Tyler? Two of them. The new head coach of the Chicago Sky, Tyler Marsh, is in the building joining us here today. Thank you, Tyler, for joining us. Just in general, just to kind of get us started off, it's probably been a whirlwind for you. I'm just interested, how has the transition been so far as this process has begun?
It's been great. It's been slowing down, I would say, the last 2 weeks. The first couple of weeks were crazy, as you can imagine, but I felt nothing but love and support, both from Chicago fan base and organization, as well as Vegas's organization, the players and the coaching staff. It's been nothing but an outpouring of love. So I certainly appreciate it. It goes a long way with myself and certainly for the rest of my family.
I feel like for the last year, you and Natalie especially were the two hot names in coaching searches within the W of like, well, you know, these two sitting on staff in Vegas are the next WNBA head coaches in some way, shape, or form. What's that like for you when you see your name out there? Like, do you have an awareness of when you reach the level as assistant from I'm here, I'm on the bench with this coach to no, I'm starting to get calls and people are interested in me kind of running my own program? And how do you manage that conversation with Becky, with Natalie, just kind of this idea of it might be time, where's the right fit, and when is the right time to jump?
Yeah, I think that a couple parts to that. I think that one, it's when you're in an assistant role, I think that you have to have the ability to be present. So you can't look too far in the future. You don't really know when those opportunities are going to come, especially in the W when it's only 12, now 13, of those jobs out there that you really don't know when that chance is. You just want to learn as much as you can in the role and in the position that you're in. And then hopefully that when that opportunity comes that you're ready to take advantage of that moment. And so for me, and I think I can speak for Natalie, like we were so present and embraced in the role that we were at and trying to do the best job that we could for Becky and for our players and for the Aces that I think that, being a head coach was always a goal of each of ours, but it was never something that we felt like we had to rush into. And so, it just by coincidence happened in the same year, which is pretty crazy in itself. But, I think that we're both extremely grateful to be in the positions that we're in. And there's a high level of gratitude that goes into it just from what we were able to accomplish and be a part of in Las Vegas. And, being under someone like Becky, who allowed us to grow in our careers and as people, and then being around the players who allowed themselves to be coached, allow us to do our jobs and to be able to build that trust in those relationships. It goes a long way, and we wouldn't be in these positions without each of them. So it's a tremendous amount of thankfulness and gratefulness to the Aces organization for allowing us to be in these positions.
Can you take us through like what your decision-making process was for this being the time and Chicago being the opportunity that you wanted to take?
Yeah, I think that, it starts with the kind of the way that Chicago approached me, and just the intentionality that they approached me with in terms of why they felt like I could fit into what they were trying to do and the vision that they had. And then you look at the young talent that's on the roster, and what the potential is there. I felt like it was a good fit. And so I had great conversations with our general manager, Jeff Pagliacca, and we just we hit it off. We hit it off in terms of how we see the game and where we kind of see it going and how the Chicago Sky fit into that. And so those things aligned. And for me, again, I was very open and transparent, kind of to add to your last question too, Andrew. Like it's about transparency. I think that you owe that to the team that you were with, an organization that you were with, to be as open as possible. And also you don't want to waste the time of any prospective teams as well. And so I was very open and honest and what needed to be there for me to take this next step, because I wasn't lacking anything in Vegas. I was getting everything that I needed from the organization in terms of comfortability. And so it just it was a tough decision, but it felt like the right time and the right opportunity. And so I'm thankful that the Aces had my back, and I'm thankful that Chicago went out the way to see me as the future of the organization.
Just to touch on the transparency component, right? Because we know there's a practice facility coming for the Sky organization. You came from an organization with an owner in Mark Davis that is extremely well known at this point for putting his money where his mouth is and saying, excuse me, that this is a league and a franchise worthy of spending and investing in. How much did your experience with Vegas in that way help kind of allow you to either slim down organizations that you wanted to work for, or helped inform your questions to Jeff and the ownership group about, well, I know what works over here and what they've done for us over here that have helped us be successful. How can you guys promise or help us get to that place? How did that factor in?
Yeah, I mean, it was a huge piece. It was a huge piece into just allowing me to have the understanding of what questions to ask. And then it gave me a confidence to be that direct in how I approached them and how I asked those questions. And I didn't really hold anything back. I know what some people's perception of the organization is. And so I'm one to not judge until I'm in there and seeing things for myself. And so for me, it's about moving forward. And I think ultimately that you want things to be in place as best as possible with the greatest resources possible for our players to be as successful as possible. And so if there's anything that the Aces do top notch, it's the fact that ownership has the back of their players and the rest of the organization. I think that there's a level of security there amongst the players that they know that they're supported in every facet. And so that's what every team should strive for, not just Chicago. I think that that's what we want from each team in the league. And so I was very transparent in that aspect in terms of, that we needed our players to be successful. We needed our players to be confident. We needed them to be secure. And we want Chicago to be a place that allows other players and other free agents and other draft picks to want to come and play here. We got to create an environment that allows for that, and it opens the room for that. And so that's something for sure that having seen it firsthand with the Aces and just how impactful that is, certainly gave me the confidence to be able to go into those meetings and in that interview process and talk about, what I felt like was needed for them.
Look, you're selling me on the vision. One thing that I thought was incredible throughout the whole coaching cycle. You get this hire, you get that hire, news is breaking, and then Sid Colson is on Twitter. In the midst of all this chaos, I'm sure your phone is blowing up.
Yeah,
Sid Colson is just tweeting.
To this day,
he's still tweeting. What is your reaction when you're seeing all these Sid tweets just coming in on your timeline in the midst of all of this?
I think the one of the funny things about my relationship with Sydney is that like we randomly would just out of nowhere would just text like some silly stuff or some sarcastic stuff to each other. And so I hadn't talked to her in maybe a week or two. And so I early this morning, I sent her a text, some friendly banter. She responded. She was like, look, don't make me start firing you back up on Twitter. So
that's a real threat for Sydney.
That is it's a real thing. I take pride in it and knowing that like you got to be that close to her for her to, have that kind of relationship with you. And so she's been super supportive throughout this whole process for me. And she was someone that I leaned on a lot for just for that vet experience and that advice from someone who, I think the part that gets overlooked about Sydney is just how professional she is. You get caught up in, in the humor and side of her that she presents in person and on social media. And she's a basketball player. She's a professional. She's a vet. And when she speaks in the locker room and on the court, like the other players listen too. And I think that she's a testament to how leadership can come in different forms. And that's another aspect that I hope to kind of bring over to Chicago as well, is just the understanding that, leadership can come in different ways from different people. It doesn't have to be the leading scorer, leading rebounder, leading assist. You don't have to play a ton of minutes to make an impact and have your voice be heard. And so I think that's a huge part to what allowed us to be successful in Vegas. And, hopefully that's something that allows us to be successful in Chicago. But Sydney's been great. She's awesome. Y'all know her. She's got a crazy switch that she can turn it on from being kind of in that joking mood to being in that super professional mode that you appreciate.
I love that. Go ahead, Andrew. Going?
Oh, so I have followed, your G League career, right? And I think you would know that the G League has some Wild Westish tendencies, whether it be its travel or just life in the G League in general.
Yeah.
What is your most Wild West story of like being in the G League of like, I can't believe that this is happening to a professional basketball team right now?
Yeah. Man, I'm gonna write a book one day on my there's some stories I can tell right now and some I can't, but I'll say that maybe the crazy, and this happened literally back-to-back years, different organizations. The first year, our championship year, when I was with Rio Grande Valley, who's the Rockets G League team, and our best player, he was the MVP that year, Andrew Gadlock, he got called up during layup lines in our playoffs, got called up to the NBA, barely played when he got called up, but we were out without him, and still ended up making a championship run. But that following year, I went to the Iowa Energy, who's now the Iowa Wolves, but and again had an MVP, Otheus Jeffers, got called up right before our playoff game, called up to Minnesota, literally on the way to the airport as we're flying, he gets called up. So we ended up losing the first round of that year. But back-to-back years had the MVPs called up right before. And so it's a lot of the coaches that I grew up under, Nick Nurse, Nate Bjorken, like those people who had G League experience, they've taught me how to kind of adjust on the fly, how to think on the fly, and like just not take anything for granted. And so, that's a big thing that I took from them, and just certainly makes the G League one of the toughest leagues to be in and to coach in, because you just never really know what your roster is going to look like night to night.
Did Nick Nurse ever bring out the guitar in Rio Grande Valley?
He never brought out the guitar, but that leads me actually to another story. But Nick's a big piano guy. So any hotel we stayed in, if there's a piano in the lobby or anything, he's just going to randomly walk over and start playing. It doesn't matter where we are, what we're doing. So he's a big piano guy. But you mentioned guitar. We had a guy. I don't know if you remember Royce White, played at Iowa State.
Yeah.
So at the time, I was one of the people in charge of like picking up players that were sent down from the NBA. And so he was at the hotel, and I was driving the team bus, and I was driving by the hotel that he was staying at. He was just literally on the side of the street on the curb, sitting down, playing the guitar on game day. It was wild. The G League, I'm telling you, I got stories and stories for the G League. But
a whole book's worth.
Yeah.
Bro, I mean, like I did some coverage of the Stockton Kings the last couple of years, and just some of what you hear filtering out of the G League is like it's like JUCO Pro Ball in that way,
Yeah, and I think every young coach, if the opportunity, any young coach that's aspiring to be in the NBA or even in the W, I think that if you're an aspiring professional coach, I think that the G League is an awesome route, because the staffs are so small, and it's similar to the W, but to a lesser degree, and just in terms of like it's a all hands on deck type of feel and approach, and you just get to develop those relationships. You get to work on your craft, and I mean I'm a big believer in the G League being super instrumental into the coach that I am today. So
was there anything uniquely transferable, like from the G League to the W, where you were like, oh yeah, like that I know this random thing that every other coach is complaining about, like we dealt with this over in Iowa,
Yeah, well, before this past year, it was the travel. The travel was very similar, and so it was something that I feel like if you, for instance, if I only had NBA experience coming over to the W and then had to, travel commercial and this and that, like I don't know how I would have handled it, but I think that starting kind of from the bottom and being able to not take those things for granted, not just being accustomed to the NBA life of all the amenities that come with it. You appreciate the little things, and those type of things don't really bother you. So for me, it's like, I don't care what hotel we're staying in. As long as the plane gets us there safely, like I'm good. Like as long as our players are good, I'm good. So I think that's the biggest mindset thing that kind of transferred over. It's just you just have kind of, it is what it is. You make it work type of mindset. And so now I'm certainly great. I'm not complaining about,
right. Yeah. You went back. It might be a little different now.
Yeah. No, but it's I just think that one of the things that I love about the W is just that it's a there's such a down to earth type of feel that's there while still being able to work with the greatest athletes in the world. And so it's just it's great to be a part of, and it's great to see things continuing to trending upward so that they can get what they've fought so hard for and deserve. So yeah, I'm appreciative of it.
Yeah, I feel like that, like what you just espoused has kind of been like, that's like your MO, right? When I think about your time with the Vegas Aces, is like, I'm here to get the players better, right? Like, and we see it from with Jackie Young in particular, right? Player development is, I feel like that's been your reputation so far in the WNBA, but I am curious, like, what other like muscle are you looking forward to flexing and exercising as a head coach now in the WNBA?
Yeah, I hope team building. I hope that's an area and an aspect that that I can another area that I can hope transfer over. Like it's I think it's important for myself and me and Natalie talked about this too, that it's important for each of us to kind of carve our own lane into what we're doing. We can't expect to be Las Vegas 2.0 or the Las Vegas of the Midwest. Like I got to add my own touch to who the Chicago Sky is and hope to be moving forward. But I think there's certain aspects of championship culture and environment that you want to have and put in place. And so for me, that starts with our staff building and how we're able to put that together in a way that we're cohesive and connected. And then how does that transfer over to our players and in our locker room, and how connected are they? And so I think that there's there's a very distinct correlation in teams that are connected off the court and how that's transferred into their connection on the court. And so I'm looking forward to building that part of it just as much as I am the basketball part of it.
Well, you got a pretty solid foundational piece that you could probably say in Angel Reese. You might know her name. We saw you tweeting about it even during the season of like how impressed you were with the Sky at different points in this season, and Angel in particular. I'm just interested just in general, like the excitement. Angel is such a unique player and obviously such a big part of this movement of women's basketball. The excitement to coach, a player like Angel, and were there maybe particular like flashes that you saw last season that you are excited to grow within her game in particular?
I think she handled her rookie year great. I mean, you set a record in rebounding, and it's to me, it's still amazing that people kind of undervalue and undersell just what that was for a rookie. I think that it's kind of unfair, not just to Angel, but to a lot of the rookies in the W, that they're expected to do so much in so little time. They're not given the grace to grow. And it's different from the NBA. Your NBA, you get drafted and you have a couple months to ingratiate yourself with your team and kind of the system and do that before you're able to. Then you have preseason and things like that. And in the W, you have 2 weeks and your first game is there. And so I think that we can't take for granted just what Angel was able to do in her rookie year. And the thing that I love the most about it is she's a winner. She's doubted almost every year of her life and her career, and she continues to overcome. And that's something that you can build on. She plays extremely hard. And, kind of the more technical part of her game that I liked from her time at LSU was that you saw the footwork and the post presence. You saw that kind of take a step forward each year there. And so I think that there's a lot there to build upon. She hasn't even scratched the surface yet of what I believe her potential could be. And then you compare that with Kamilla right next to her, another rookie who's got tons of potential, and someone else who I feel like her people still doubt in many ways. And we got to use that as fuel, and we got to in a way that where we want to help each other. I think that those two, their success is tied to one another in many ways. And I think that hopefully I can help kind of bridge that gap into how, they're able to grow together and be focal points of what we want to be and what we want to do.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead. Oh, okay. One quick follow-up I did want to have on that is these are obviously, absolutely two of the best young bigs in the WNBA. You've been around for my liking, the best player in the WNBA in A'ja Wilson, who also just happens to play that. Yeah, she's hit a couple marks here and there. Yeah. You might have heard her name too. I'm just interested, whether it be something on the court or off the court, if there was one quality that you could take from A'ja Wilson and that you are like, I want to instill this in Angel and Kamilla, and this will lead them to the heights and to their max potential, what would those kind of qualities be from A'ja that you're hoping to transfer over?
Yeah, I'm not saying that this is absent in Kamilla or Angel.
Mm-hmm.
There's still some relationship establishing and building that I got to do with each of them. But the most impressive thing by far to me with A'ja is her selflessness on and off the court. And I think to see that, you got to look beyond field goal attempts. You got to look beyond minutes play, beyond all that. And when you're around her day to day, the level of leadership that she has and the level of accountability and ownership that she has for everything Las Vegas Aces, it's second to none. I haven't seen anything like in the way that she's able to carry herself through that, where she takes it all as being the face of the franchise. She takes it all on her back. It's the good and the bad, whether she has something to do with it or not. Like, she embraces that, and she does her best with shielding her teammates from the negative side of it and trying to keep them present in the moment. And so, and her ability to do that for herself sets the tone and the example for everyone else. She is, I think if you ask Becky, she would tell you she's the most coachable on our team or on the Aces. I think that, her ability to be coached and to be coached hard and to take constructive criticism, like, it just, again, it sets the tone for everyone else. If A'ja can be coached this way, then everyone else should be able to follow suit. And so, to me, that's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Well, Jeffrey,
I wanted to know how you've been watching Kamilla over in China, because she is doing.
She be smiling. She be having a time. She be having a time moving. Just
and
I have. She's been great, and it's been great to see those moments of aggressiveness. I know, like, we want that to transfer over here. Like, she's obviously a huge part of what we're building and what we want to do, but we want her to score. And so I think the more comfortable that she feels and kind of being that dominant presence and establishing post position, and I think that an underrated skill of hers is the ability to pass and the willingness to pass. So we're going to look to play through her, just like we're going to look to play through Angel. And so she's been doing great over there. I hit her every now and then just to keep her motivated and uplifted and let her know that I'm watching and that she's doing great. And it's something that I just want her to play free and have fun out there. It's not something I've been kind of overbearing and feel like, oh, make sure you're doing this, make sure you're doing this. And we want to, like, no, just go out there, have fun, play free, be dominant. And then when you come over, we'll have plenty of time to ingratiate yourself into what we're doing in Chicago. So
I think we can probably fairly say that the attention with the W this year, it had its positives and it had its negatives, right? But one of the things with Angel that I think is really fascinating is the level of off-court stardom that she possesses. Like, there's not every WNBA player is popping out at a Megan Thee Stallion show or going to the Met Gala. You know what I mean? Yeah. How, as a coach, have you kind of seen that change, especially in the last couple of years, where, like, the athlete as celebrity is really starting to catch up to where, like, athlete as celebrity is in the men's sports? Yeah. And also for someone as unique as her, right, where she can go to the Met Gala and come back and play a game. Like, how do you balance those two things of, there is a goal and a team mindset here that has to be adhered to, but this is also a very unique individual that exists in this kind of, business unto herself tier, and you want to foster that as much as you can. How do you balance that? And what's it been like just kind of watching the celebrity status of WNBA players increase to the level it has over the last couple of years?
Yeah. I think that's what it should be. I think that there's more players around the league whose personalities should be highlighted in that way and whose stardom should be globalized and glorified more in that way. I think that there's a ton of great stories. There's a ton of great people, and at the end of the day, these are stars that should be treated like stars. And so everything that Angel is getting right now is something that she has worked for and deserved. And so I think that as long as that continues to trend for the rest of the league, I think that we're in a good place. And the other parts of your question, I think that there's a accountability both from myself and on the players, where for me, it's being able to communicate, I want you to have all the off court, accolades as possible, as long as it fits within the realm of what we're trying to do as a team in terms of you still putting in the work. Anything that's not affecting the team in a negative way, like I'm all for it. Like I want them to get everything that they've, deserve and have worked for. And so I think that there's the accountability on the players' parts as well to make sure that work is still being put in. And even when you look at this offseason, like Angel's still finding ways to get her work in on the court while she's traveling and keeping up with her schedule. And so I have no issues with that. I'm supportive and want to encourage that moving forward. And, hopefully that's something, again, that continues to trend upwards for the rest of the league as well.
How excited are you as a coach? The carousel in the W is so different than it's been in past years, right? Like usually we'll get some G League folks, we'll get some WNBA retreads, but it feels like the hiring is so much more diversified, right? Like the Sun go find Rashid, the Dream go get Smesko, the Sparks get Lynn, you and Natalie are taking over your own franchises. Just from like a scheme brain perspective, are you kind of excited to like get into the film of so much unfamiliarity and then really kind of see how that bears out with the rosters that these coaches have in the W this coming year?
Sure. I think the more diverse, the better, from both schematically and otherwise. I think that it's great for the league. It's great for the players. I think that just in general, the style of play that we're seeing across the league is helping showcase what our players' talents actually are. And just when you open up the floor for more pace and more space to maneuver and to play, I think that you're seeing that's why you're seeing all these scores go up. And it's more appealing for fans to watch. It's more fun for the players to play and be involved in. And so I'm excited to seeing where that continues to go. And so and I think that, as you look across, there's so many great coaches out there at every level. And so the more we can tap into that, I think it's great. It's something that, for me, and being one of the 12 and now 13, I think that it's something that I don't take for granted. It's a responsibility that I hope to uphold in the best light. And I think that again, our league is a great league to be a part of, and it's only trending upwards, both off the court and on the court. So
I'll put you on the spot real quick here. You're now in the head coaching seat, right? So now you've got the platform, and now you've got fans that are going to be tuned in to hear what you have to say. Who are some up and coming coaches, be they assistants in the W, college coaches? Like, are there any people that you see in the women's game where you're like, that person feels like they're coming next? Like, is there anybody that you've seen around the women's basketball atmosphere or ecosystem whose coaching acumen or recruiting or ability you have a lot of respect for and think like that might be the next person to come up and get a job in the future?
I think the one that jumps off the page at you is Coach Ivy at Notre Dame. I mean, I don't see any reason for her to maybe leave what she has built and has in Notre Dame. I'm just, in terms of like the coaches that I like to watch and keep an eye out for what they're doing. It's she's certainly one of them. Obviously, you have the mainstays in Dawn and Gino, but then in terms of up and coming in the W, I think that you look at former players. You look at Brianne January. I think that she's someone who a lot of people speak about, and someone that when you talk to her and communicate with her and hear her, just how she kind of talks the game, you know that she's one of those that's next in line too. And so again, there's a slew of them, whether it's from a player development standpoint, or from assistant coaches or head coaches. I think that I think former players is kind of the trend too, that the league will continue to go in, but also kind of around the world. I think the NBA is trending towards more former players as well. And, you know, that's something that I'm all for too. I think that it's great to see former players being kind of mainstays on staffs and being additions to staff, because there's that relatability factor that they have to the young and up and coming players. So again, I think that when we talk about how the evolution of what our players are seeing, we're seeing an evolution in coaching as well. And so, you know, I'm excited for that.
So last one for me, I don't know if you guys, the final one for me, you know, that period you were with the Aces, you know, obviously speaks for itself from a success standpoint, from a culture standpoint. You know, you guys genuinely seem like you had a lot of fun together. What is one enduring road trip memory with that group that 50 years from now, when, you know, all of the coaching by Tyler Marsh books are written, and
the G League tell all,
and your grandkids are saying, you know, what was it like with this team? What to you is your favorite road trip memory that you're always going to hold with you about that team and what they meant to you?
We're talking about from the Aces, right?
From the Aces, yeah.
Yeah. I think that first year, the first year winning the championship in Connecticut, I think that that road trip was probably the best one, just because it was something that we had all kind of, I don't know that we envisioned it on working out that way that soon. But it was like we were there and we were present, and we were there to accomplish the same goal. It was just the connectivity that we had that year was second to none. And I think that the plane ride home was that much better. And so it was, and again, for me, it was the perfect balance, because I got to go from experiencing that with the people I care so much about from a professional standpoint. And then I was able to fly back home and be there for the birth of my son 18 hours later. And so, and being able to experience that with the most important people in my personal life, like that's something that I'll never forget. And I think that there's different things to take from each championship year, from 22 and 23, but those are moments that I won't forget. There's late nights in the gym with each of the players that are times where we were able to be vulnerable, and kind of like when you hear the blood, sweat, and tears, like it's literally that was that for the last 3 years here in Vegas. And so that's what made this such a emotional transition for me, just knowing what I would be leaving. And, you know, people kind of ask me, you know, are you nervous? And I'm sure I will be at times once the season starts, but I think that now, like the basketball is going to be the basketball. We're judged off wins and losses. That is what it is. But I think for me, the part that was that made me a little hesitant at the jump was like, man, like I'm super happy here in Vegas. Like everything. There's the most fun I've ever had in my career. I love who I'm working with and who I'm working around. I feel impactful. I feel valued here. And now is my turn to help pour that into someone else. And so I hope that, you know, we can get to that point in Chicago, and where I'm able to develop a staff that can continue to grow and be head coaches as well. And then for myself to lead a group of new young players who are eager to prove themselves and to be winners, and hopefully create a championship environment back here in Chicago as well. And so all those are going to, you know, my experience in the W, and it is a move that was the best move of my career for me. And I'm enjoying my time on this side. You know, when I came over from the NBA, we had a mutual, myself and Becky had a mutual friend, and Jenny Buchek, assistant coach with the Pacers. And, she came over to me one day. She was like, you would be great in the W. And I was like, really? Why you say that? And she was like, your way of communicating is just different. I think it will be received much better on that side. I think that your ability to listen, your ability to show empathy, that kind of thing. And I didn't really know what she meant until I came over, and to be able to kind of see that manifest itself. And like, it is, I love the W. I love this league, and I love the ability to work with these players and be part of what the future and the growth of this league is. So no, that was a long-winded answer, but you got me.
No, that was a great. Look, you're not here to listen to us. I promise. They get enough of that. They get enough of that. I also just had a couple more. I am just intrigued. You mentioned Ivy. I promise I'm not gonna make you talk about any specific players. I ain't gonna get you in any trouble or anything. But I am just interested. I know you've been on the road. You've been watching college games. I ran into you in LA at Notre Dame USC. I know you were at UCLA, South Carolina, amongst others. Not to name any specific player by any means, but just in the sense of when you're looking at the draft now, and you're looking even at free agency, when you're thinking about these are the qualities of a Chicago Sky player, like this is like what I am looking for. What do you kind of feel like those qualities are as you're looking to? Obviously, you're building what you have, but also going into the future as different players come in. What are those qualities that you feel like are kind of the pinpoint ones you're looking for?
Yep. I've said it a ton already, and they'll continue to hear me to say it, but selflessness to me is the key to winning. I think that when you look at what this past championship entailed, the Minnesota and New York, they were the two most selfless teams from a basketball standpoint in the league. And so that's what we want. We want to be committed to each other offensively and defensively. I think that what we saw from last year's Chicago team, they were already competitive as hell. They played hard night in and night out, and I think that's something that we can continue to build on as well. But we want to be a versatile team in the sense of like when the score is up in the 80s, 90s, and 100s, we want to be able to stay with teams from that standpoint. When we got to grind games out in the trenches and win games in the 60s and 70s, we want to be able to do that too. So just having kind of a do-it-all mindset, I think having that kind of work for everything, nothing's given to you, no handouts. Like we want to earn everything that we get. And I want that to be the kind of the backbone and the foundation of who we are in Chicago.
Got you. I got Green. You got one? I got two last ones.
Yeah, we got it. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So
we got
Chicago,
plenty.
I mean, they've had success recently in the W, right? Winning the championship with Candace and Ka. Obviously, super like promising young core. How are you anticipating? Like Chicago media is different too, right? Different than Vegas even. And it's a sports town. Like I've never met a person from Chicago who does not root for Chicago teams.
Yep.
Like it's just impossible. Talk about like how much you're looking forward to being in. Not to say that Vegas wasn't, but it's a transient city. You know what I'm saying? Yep. And people really mess with the Aces there, but like where it's like a all eyes on you kind of thing in Chicago. Can you talk about how excited you are to just like embrace that challenge too?
Yeah, I think you'd rather have that than the opposite. You'd rather have that than a city that doesn't support you. And so I think that passion is something we can feed off of and live up to. And I appreciate the support. It's funny. I was asked a question a couple of weeks ago about presence on social media and how should that change and that kind of thing. And I'm like, yeah, well, it's been great the last month getting all the love because I'm 0-0 and haven't won or lost a game yet. Since that first loss happens, they're going to be on my head. So it comes with the territory of being a head coach, and I understand that. I've been able to, I'm a coach's kid, so I've been able to see my dad go through the ringers of the ups and downs of everything that comes with coaching, both as an assistant and as a head coach. And so, it'll obviously be different now that I'm kind of right in the fire of it. But at the same time, it's I think the most important thing is, again, to stay as present as I can for our players and as even keel for our players, because they're the ones that feel my impact first. Yeah. And so I want them to be as comfortable in being them as players and as people first, and then we let the results take care of themselves.
All right, I got two more for you. One's more of a fun one. We're so incredibly grateful for your time. I gotta know, you're a WWE guy. I'm a WWE guy. If you were to make a starting five of WWE wrestlers, point through center, who's I need the starting five here. I need to figure this out.
This is like all time.
All time, whatever, however you want to take it, whatever you want to do. See, he locked. He's like, I can do present.
Right,
I can do all time.
Yeah, he's locked in.
I can see like.
Okay, I think Undertaker will probably have to be the center.
Can't go wrong with the dead man. Put him in a coffin, bro.
I'll go with Triple H as my power forward. I'd go with probably The Rock as my small forward.
He's gonna be trash talking. I like
Good
that.
way.
That's a
Good
dog.
way.
That's a dog.
I'd go with Bret Hart's my favorite wrestler of all time, so I got him as my shooting guard.
He's the sharpshooter.
Exactly.
He's got the sharpshooter. Come on now.
Exactly. And then point. I'm gonna have to go with. I guess we can go with Stone Cold as the point guard.
That's like a little,
I feel like Stone Cold's good though. You need the.
That's the dog. That's the dog.
Yeah, he sets the tone. He sets the tone for everything.
Yeah, I'm telling you, that's a dog on the team. Like Bret Hart's space on the floor. You got some dogs. The Rock is just talking trash the whole time. I can get behind that. I can get behind that starting five.
Now I gotta give you 5.
Okay, turn. Let's go.
So we'll go with China at center.
Big body. Yeah.
Yep.
Throwing everyone around.
Yep. We'll go with Charlotte Flair at power forward.
Okay.
We'll go Jade Cargill at small forward.
Hey, she's a hooper.
Yes.
Take your hoop.
She's been there.
We'll go Naomi as shooting guard.
See that?
And I guess we gotta go Trish at point.
Can't go wrong.
Yeah.
I love it.
These are championship rosters. I gotta say.
I'm telling you, like, look, you talk about wanting the team build. This is a great intro into this. I love it. Like, just to wrap up here again, we can go on and on, but we won't keep you too long. We're so thankful for your time. But just as a general message, you've talked about the selflessness. You've talked about how you want this team to compete. If just for a message to the Chicago Sky fans, is how we end a lot of our previews for the season. Just a message to the fans of like what to expect and what they should be looking forward to from the Chicago Sky under Tyler Marsh. What are those things? What are those attributes, those key points that Chicago Sky fans need to be looking forward to for this season? Yeah,
I think two words that our team is going to hear me say a lot is commit and compete. Like there's a level of a level of investment physically and emotionally and mentally that we want to put forth to putting forth the best product possible for this city. We want to embrace the city, and I hope that the passion that the fan base shows is the passion that you see our players play with on a nightly basis. And we don't want to be a team that plays to an opponent or that plays to a score. Like there's a standard that we want to have set that we want to meet and live up to every night. And there's a old coach's saying that says that you never accept anything in a win that you wouldn't in a loss. And so that's a level of accountability on my end and on our players' end that we want to stick to. And we just want to give we want to represent our city and represent this league in a way that shows just kind of where women's basketball is at, and also where the Sky want to be moving forward. And so there's a championship mindset that we want to instill, that we want to play to, and hopefully that we want to accomplish, in the future. So
I love it. I love it. Tyler, thank you so much for your time. Genuinely, we truly appreciate it. We're so excited for you. We're so excited to see this team and how it develops over the course of this season. It's a fantastic year in the W. It's a year-round sport now as well, so we're going to be talking about it. But thank you for your time.
No, thank you guys. Thanks for having me. I appreciate what you guys do and the support that you've shown. So looking forward to the next time. Absolutely. Doors always open. And make sure you guys stay tapped in here with the No Cap Space. We got you with the W. We got you with college. We got you with Unrivaled. All the links down below in the description. We'll see you next time.